First one I saw was this one here, and this one. Yeah, I think this is actually a really nice update. I feel like there's just like the lighting pools are nicer, and so we can just watch this play out. Might not play out in the full time, but yeah. So I feel like you did a lot of like what we talked about. There was a lot of notes, and um, you said here that you added fog to the drone, Atmo to the building, and overall on the lights on the wall. 2 stops lower on the blue light to match the previous shot. Make sure there was no unlit areas. Cool. Yeah, and fix the broken light on the wall. Okay, so let's start with that light on the wall here. I just wanted to say, like, this seems broken a little bit here. Still, I'm not sure exactly what's happening, but it seems like this part of the wall is getting like overly bright compared to the rest. Like you see this like shaft of light here, and I'm not entirely sure. Like I can't really read if this is like it's cutting in and it's just hitting it harder here, but it almost seems like it's a different material or something. Just on the first viewing, like there's just something really wrong here, either with the light linking or the material. So just look into that, because I feel like if it's like flat and facing the light, it should be a little brighter, just because of the way the light's hitting it, but it shouldn't be this bright. And then I like kind of what's going on back here. Like it feels bigger to me now. I think your shadows on this character as he runs away is working really nicely, and I do like this. Going to your like cut together here. If we just play this. Yeah, so here you can, one of the things that you can see is, you get like a look into this area here. And so let me just frame. So I'm just going to frame hold this to the first frame because I want to compare. So if I look at this, I see you have like some fog here. That's nice. And then when the light comes out here, you get this square, this like really sharp edge. So I was just going to talk about that for a second. The distance that you're covering here, it's like really hard to get this like really hard edge here. And I know this is kind of like a nitpicky note for, like potentially, like you might not care. But I just wanted to say, generally when there's like door gags or shadow gags like this in animation, you have to have like a really small light, and it has to be extremely bright coming in, and there's like kind of a reason. All I'm suggesting is that maybe in order to not like visually create lines in the background here, you might want to soften this up. So whatever light you have casting lightly back here, you might want to like make it a little bigger, and keep the intensity. I mean, you'll have to lower the intensity depending on how you're working, but you just want to like soften this edge a little bit. And I think it might just like not feel so strange. It's like a weird thing to have a light that sharp, unless it's like sunlight or something. So just consider that. And then here, when the camera looks up, we kind of get a look at the lamp here. I think this kind of goes back into what we were talking about for lamps and light bulbs in general and how they look. So what I would do here is, so if I'm gonna quickly just to make your lamp look a little bit more realistic, or just more pleasing. So I'm gonna grab this and actually so it's like, I know I'm zooming in a lot and it's pretty nitpicky, but it's like I'm seeing a lot of green out of it, and you want to feel, heat from it in a kind of natural way. So what I did is I'm desaturating it first to kind of get rid of whatever color you might have had in there, and then I'm going to add in like just the tiniest bit of warmth to it, and I'm doing it just the tiniest bit because you still want it to be mostly white. And then what I think you need on top of that is like a little bit of like haloing around the bulb, and I think it'll help you. Sorry. That's probably too much. I'll add a little bit of blur to that. And then what you want to do is this part will have like the most of your, the majority of your color will be on like what's coming off of that light bulb. So if we do that instead. Okay, so again, it's too much, there's too much, I think it's too much of a soft halo on this guy. Let me see if I can just tone it down a little bit. But anyway, you just want like a little bit of life in there, like even this is too much. You kind of have to work it out on your own. If I had IDs, it'd be easy to just like select it with an ID or like an AOV and then kind of like bloom it and kind of bring it back in. Right now I'm just using like straight rotos to like mimic it, but like this area in general, like whatever's happening here, you were talking about having like light linking. I feel like there's some amount of light linking here that's either broken or not working with this lamp here, and then I'm not sure how you guys are working, like if you have if you're using like radiosity or any kind of bounces and stuff like that. So if you're not, this area should like kind of bounce back as well, but it shouldn't be like casting such a hard shadow. Like it almost feels to me like it should be coming up here as well. But if you want to like, put it like a, what is it called? Like a pan light or something like that, where there's like a hat on top of it, then you can get this kind of shape where it's just coming down. But right now it feels kind of out of place because you see like the entire bare bulb, and it just doesn't feel right. It doesn't feel like what you're supposed to be seeing. So I would just put a little bit more work there. Otherwise, I think, everything else is nice. You have this off-screen light that they're going to. Let me just get rid of this. you have that off-screen light that you have here. That's nice, although I do think it should maybe cast a shadow. um, I almost feel like your shadow linking is off or something like that, like there's some broken thing, because if this side is getting light from light, you might get a little something here. But if the light's far out, then you might not. So it just depends on where your lights are. But yeah, other than that, I mean, I think the character's looking nice. I think the only note I have on the character is that the screen left side, so this side of his face, I think could go a little darker. Just the fact that you don't really see any lighting out there. I feel like the left side could feel like it's, in that dark blue environment. So I'm gonna, once again, on this frame, just quickly. So, all right. So if I grab like this side of his face here, and like, if you darken his face a little bit, let's soften it a little. And then if it kind of went a little, a little bluer, not so it was like sickly blue, but just to kind of match that environment that he's in. You might get like a nicer like feeling on the character. So kind of fixed it. So yeah, it's like you're just gonna get a better sense of the lighting on the right side of the screen, so I just, for me, like that feels better. And obviously the line's too straight, it'd be going against that character's face, so you get some shaping in there. But you really enter this character into the scene a little bit more when you integrate, color wise. Sometimes, it's like what it's called is overlit. You just have like too many lights on a given character or subject, and that's kind of how it ends up looking. So don't forget to stay within the range of your sequence, because in here you have some like nice shadows on your character, like it gets dark, and I think that's working well for you. The character's face has like nice shapes, so don't forget to like include that. And I think like here it looks kind of correct the way the light's hitting him, and I see like his pants are dark, but so it seems like maybe there's some kind of light, like a dome or something like that, that's just lighting the character's face up a little too much. So you can kind of increase the mystery and the drama by like lowering this light as he's running through. So something like that. But yeah, so at the end of the day, I think it's just solving this issue with the light, like the way that it hits this side here, just seems really like broken. Maybe adding some like a little bit of glow, and then seeing like where this light would actually cast to. I almost feel like it's softened too much. The other note was to let me get rid of that, is to like see about potentially getting rid of the hard edge here, and doing like a little bit of softness to it. I think it'll just make it feel more real. Right now it feels a little too CG, where it's like super crisp. And the darkness on the character, and then potentially if this light should be casting, just make sure that whatever lights are casting are, should be shadowing. So like even this one, I see light coming here and I see it spilling onto here, but if I draw a line, if I trace a line, I feel like I should be seeing a shadow from this light and potentially this light onto the floor here. It's not such a it's not a huge deal in terms of the aesthetics, but it will help to ground your entire scene. Where suddenly this might feel a little floaty. Um, I think it will just make it feel like it's really sitting on the ground. A lot of times I ask myself, can I tell if this item is sitting on the ground? And if the answer is, if you waffle at all, then likely, there's some underlying issue to the balance of your shadowing. Um, so, yeah. So, but I think it's a really strong step in the right direction, and I look forward to seeing where this goes. But everything, I think all the changes you made otherwise are really nice. So, okay, so the second one I see is this one here, and this is by Sunny. And are you here? Oh man, I was gonna ask some questions. Based on some of the work that you have done here, I actually really like what you're doing. I feel like it's kind of nice and photographic. It has a really great quality. You've kind of managed to get a lot of that out with this set. And honestly, I wouldn't have given you many notes had I not seen this. And so that was my question, was how close to this were you planning on getting, or were you using it as kind of a springboard to do your own thing? If this is the look you were going for, then that's great. I think you did a really good job. But if you were going for something like this, I can give you some notes on that. So I'm gonna try to do both. I'll give you just some notes on what you have, and then I'll go into if I had to get this look, what I would do to your image. So the first thing I would say is I think you can use a little bit of fog coming out of the, not fog coming in. You don't, not every shot or every scene needs to have sharp, a sharp light coming in. Not every scene even needs fog going, even an ambient fog. But I think it would help to marry some of the contrast that you have in the very center of your frame. So we can actually try it real quick and see if it helps at all. So I'm just gonna grab a keyer, and I'll show you guys the key. And I'm just gonna grab a key, and hopefully I can just kind of limit it as much as possible to that window. So, something like that is fine. And then I'm going to use this, just gonna blur this a little bit. I'm gonna shuffle it. Ugh. What is it? Control? Option? There it is. Like I said, I'm not super great on the Macs. And then what you can do one of two things at this point is you can over this, you can screen it over your original. Sorry, I was looking at the so again, this is too much, right? You never want to do a 100%, and this is the edge of the frame, so that wouldn't be there. But so you can see here, as you're as you're kind of overing it, it's just providing like a really nice like softness to the window area, especially where you hit this like hard edge of what is essentially like a computer rendered, super sharp, very, very accurate, edge. And it's just like softening and combining like the colors a little bit. Um, if you go back and forth, like, it just like adds a little bit of something to your scene, so it doesn't seem so like dry there, and I don't mean it dry in like an aesthetic way. I mean it like dry in like a just like how hard edged and like computery sometimes these things can feel. um, so yeah, just like consider that. And like if you were, if there's a certain color that you have coming in, like a slight warmth, you can actually just throw some warmth onto that too. And you'll just like, like add a little bit of that. So this is me just throwing some extra warmth into it, and you can see just how like nice it kind of adds in there. And when you move away, so here's a little thing to remember is like when you move away from your 111, right? Like your brightness will actually go down. So you're kind of like screen, like the math that's working in together here is that like as this value goes down, or like gets darker, you might have to adjust and increase your screen like value to get back to like maybe where you were before. But I just think that adds like a little bit of niceness, like something extra to your scene that increases its aesthetic quality. Um, yeah, other than that, one of my thoughts is some of this stuff's getting really dark, and certainly that's definitely part of your aesthetic. So I wouldn't like give you any kind of notes on that. But the one kind of note I would give, like if someone was showing this to me on my team, the one note I would give is that like this bookcase is so overwhelmingly black, I almost don't see a purpose to like this side of the frame. Like, there's not a lot of like interest here, and most of the interest is actually, like here. um, like if there was something like in the chair, or something that we should be seeing like around here, like I just feel like something's missing on some level. So either I would do like one of two things: was either add a little accent lighting to the bookcase. And I'm talking really low level here, right? Like if you look at this lighting here, this is like, to me, just as dark as, like this visually feels just as dark as like what you have here, but it has like something. And I think you need that here, because most of this information is just, it's just like extremely black stuff. And like I said, if that's your aesthetic and you're going, you're gonna have a lot of that, by all means, leave it. But I just think it would add something where, if I look at your luminance, it's like there is a big, dark box on this side of your frame. And I just think it takes a lot of eye space for what is essentially like no information. Like, I wonder if you stuck a crop in here, and it's coming in real big because our formats are all screwy. But if you stuck a crop in here and you did something like this, I wonder if like that amount of darkness to me feels better, just because it's not so overwhelming. It's not half the frame, or like a 4/10 or whatever of the frame. Like it just feels so overwhelming to me, just how much of that is there. So I don't know, like it's up to you. You can consider adding a light, you can consider cropping it, you can consider just leave it if that's your aesthetic. um, but I get the feeling that, like, if you would show this to, like, if you would put this on your reel, that people who would be looking at it would just say that it's like an opportunity for you to do something with that side of the set, and like instead it's just like, it's not like a vignette or something like that. It almost just looks like there's no light here, or because there's a lot of light coming into the room. You'd expect, even if it was just bouncing off another wall, you did that. And I think that a lot of the other dark objects in the room you actually lit really well. Like, this is a good way to handle dark furniture where you have a really strong rim on it. So that to me works really nicely. Like, I like the way that this brown chair is working, and even this guy here, you added like a specular light here. I almost wonder if you took this same specular highlight and you put it up here on a low level, like on the furniture and maybe some of the books. I think that would be nice, because I see there's a specular highlight on the books, but I'm just not seeing anything on any of the other like objects here. So just consider it. Think about something that you could do here. Again, I think this side works extremely well. It's just this, like, this void here. So yeah, that's it. I just think a little bit of something like coming in through the windows. Otherwise, your character's looking okay. It's like, it's a cool look because the paper's getting hit really brightly, so it's hitting his face. I like everything you're doing. Just think about like the overall composition and what you can do here. If it's just a crop, I mean, that might even solve your problems entirely. So now, if you were going for something like this, I think like, this is kind of interesting to me because they actually put some value here so that it's not so dark, but it kind of goes with everything else. Like there's some like really interesting things that they're doing here. So yeah, and I was kind of asking myself, like, what would I do if I had to, like, if I was taking over a shot and I had to get there. It's like one of the things that I see is, like, many of the values are kind of desaturated, maybe except for like except for some of these reds. So you can do stuff like that. You can just like take a single value that you're gonna desaturate. So here, I'm just kind of desaturating your greens and your blues, and you're left with this kind of like warmth coming in. And then, I feel like your gamma would have to come up. And then, I mean, I'm trying to like solve this with just, like gains, but really, it wouldn't be. And I don't think like that you're going for that look anymore. So it's kind of silly of me to even like attempt it. But I was just like curious, as like an exercise, like what you could do to kind of like approach this look, because it's like a warm, it's like a nicely warm window, but there's actually like a lot of fill in here. And it just gives this like overall warmth to the scene. And like the objects that are dark are kind of like kind of nicely cutting out parts of the frame so that you kind of focus in a certain place. Yeah, this one to me compared to this one is like close, but like just really like crunched. So, but yeah, honestly, I like where everything of yours like went to. So I don't mean to I'm not trying to like nitpick or anything like that. I think you did a really good job here. Um, but yeah, like I just want you to know, like it's obviously very different from this, but like where you ended up is in a nice place. So um, it's up to you how you want to continue. But yeah, it looks good. So just some window treatment, and then maybe something here, and like just increasing the gamma here. Like if this area kind of ended up looking like this, maybe a little darker than that, you know, um, I feel like it'd be just good enough for you to pass it off like that. So, yeah. Sorry. Oh no, it's okay. I did have it. So since you're here, was this like, is this what you're going for, or did you move away from this?
Yeah, definitely at the start. Yeah, did a lot of like color correction. Deviated.
Okay. Yeah. No, that's totally fine. Yeah. Like I said, I like where you ended up. Sometimes I just feel like, it's like small things. So as long as you know where you're going, it's like the worst thing that can happen is like, you think you're really close to it, but like you're not, and in that sense, like, um, anyway, but yeah, I think you did a really good job. So yeah, I think you're really close. And like, is this render just because it's kind of like low? What?
Yeah, there's quite a bit of noise at the moment.
Right. Okay. Yeah. I thought like maybe it was like it almost seemed like everything was made of felt, like as a purposeful style. Like extremely noisy. But yeah, if you clean it up, I think it'll be a really nice render. So yeah, good look.
Okay.
So this one we looked at last week. Yeah, I think all your changes are good. Darker underneath. I see like the values that you added here. That feels really nice to me. Um, yeah, I don't really have any other comments. I, I have to say, like, I just feel like this light's a little artificial. I don't know. I'm trying to like think why, and I think it's like it feels too bright for like what you're looking at. Like, um, hmm. So you have a scene here that has a lot of sky fill and a lot of sunlight, and sorry, that's my cat, and you have these lights under here, and these lights you don't really feel, right? They're just adding this like it's like base level, really low level fill to your scene. I know that like maybe you're getting a little bit of specular here, but really like you don't feel them in a big way because the sunlight is just so much brighter than everything else. Um, this area here, I know that it's in the dark, but a lot of that is like perceptive. It's like an exposure thing, but there's still a lot of light in your scene. So I just wouldn't play this up this bright. I would expect this amount of light to be something that you would see like if we were exposing like way up for the sun, but your sun is like, you know, it's like it's okay, like, and it's like in its exposure level. So I would just turn that down a little bit so that it doesn't take your eye. It's like a separate color from a lot of what you're going, for like on your set. Um, so like somehow my eye gets drawn there a lot, and I don't think you want that. You want your eye to be here. Um, so I would just maybe turn that down a little bit. Um, and other than that, I mean, I think it's good. I think it's like a really nice piece. Looks like you fixed the preview uh, texturing. or like the building that was like you still have your preview stuff on there. So other than that, yeah, I think it's nice. Yeah, cool. Um,
Thank you.
yeah, one of the things you can play with in the future is, and like you don't have to do anything else on this scene, but there's like a lot of haze out here as it goes out, and you can either read this as like it being like you're in a dust storm or something like that, um, but what you're like robbing yourself of, again, like this scene is good. I just want to reiterate, like I think it's really nice, but like in the future, one of the things you should kind of try to work on is building like an atmospheric like layering of like distant objects. It's something that's really difficult to get right, and like this type of fog and this type of like haze is something that you see a lot in video games, where like you can't see far because it's like you can't build everything on screen or something like that. um, so I think as it stands, this is nice. Like you can put this on your reel. You can kind of like, this is like kind of proof to me that like you know how to work your way around Unreal on some level. Um, but just like one of the difficult things is always like integrating your like far background into your scene. And so like if you did like another like set, that's something that I think would be nice to show on your reel. So next steps, I would say at least think about that. Um, is Mollie here? No? Okay, because she just posted something, and if she's around, I can talk about it. Ruby, I saw you posted this. Yeah, I think this is heading in the right direction. Um, so I'm bringing up your reference here, and one of the things that I will say like immediately is I'm feeling like some of the color is off. Especially like if you're going for this kind of beauty lighting on your main character, like here. I just feel like the temperature should be, a little cooler. And again, I think I like the dinks that you did. Those are nice. Um, I would boost those up a little bit, maybe even like artificially if like you don't want to do anything in lighting, um, just so they read. But yeah, they that looks nice. But anyway, getting back to it, yeah, I think the shaping that you're getting kind of reminds me of it, and I think like the ribbon, like that's all looking nice. I would maybe on some of these like it's getting a little flat, so try, this is like a beauty scene, so especially for this character, so everything's gonna have to kind of look like extremely beauty lit, and because you don't have like actual features, you're gonna have to make sure that that kind of shows up on everything on your character. So like I like the way this one's looking with that like round shape, and I like the way it's looking back here. um, I like the way like you know this here is going. Like I might like break out a different light and light link it here to kind of continue that shape. So stuff like that, you want to feel like really nice shaping pretty much everywhere on this character. um, and then so I'm just gonna like look at this color here. I know like sometimes I zoom in real close, but it's because like when you go really close into your scene, you limit your vision, and you get a sense of like what that color is. And I know like I can color pick and paint or something like that, but sometimes it's just faster for me to like look here. So this color here is what I'd expect as a fill, on your character. And right now, like the fill is feeling like really dark, and not just dark, but a little gray. Um, it's hard to like explain, but it doesn't feel like a colorful fill. It just feels like there's that one light, and then it's falling off to you know almost nothing. Like basically like a lack of light. So I think you need to kind of like put this like kicky fill on your character to get you to this like to that like pretty area, because it's the combination of the lights like in the middle that feels really like beautiful. Like this light here is really nice. The this like keyish rim that she's being hit with is really really nice. But you want this like combination of colors to kind of like gradually change from this like white light. um, and it is a little warm, but it's kind of like almost whitish over to this like blue color. So just keep it in mind, like your shadows should have like some color in them, especially for like these kinds of shots where you're really trying to beauty light a character. uh, so yeah, I think that's something you can work on. Like again, like there's some like extreme darkness here and here, so I was just make sure that it's all working. um, and then this guy, he's really kind of cool to me. I actually, what's funny is I I see this like rim that you have on him, and I almost like I wish that they were both kind of in that same lighting, because what you're going to do here is you're going to have this rim, right? And then he's going to be in shadow, so you're going to have to work on that problem of how do you make a character in shadow that looks good. So you're going to have to get some like kicks up here and like make his face a little colorful. Like if you look at Buzz here, like that, like it doesn't feel gray. It doesn't feel like the colors going off into this like uh, extremely like shadowy area. It just feels like it's lit with like this different color. It's just like lower level. So think about like your values there. But yeah, I would like put them in the same light, same color, right? Rather, it doesn't have to be the same light exactly. And then she's gonna get mostly key, and then you're gonna give her some fill, and then he's gonna get mostly fill, and the key's gonna be kind of rimmy. So but I like the like layout that you have. So the flower getting hit by that like key is really nice. Like this rim on his hat, sorry, the rim on his hat and the rim on his hand is really nice. Like the fact that his knee is getting kind of lit is like working for me. So I think like where you have the light coming and the shaping of the overall characters is actually really nice. Now it's time to like throw in some, like that kick is really nice, but now throw in like a little fill here, or change the color of the fill that you already have there. Um, and I think you'll see like a big difference. Um, and same thing with the character here, like you want to like get a little bit of color in there, and here you're getting to your brightest point. Sorry. Here you're getting to your brightest point, and you should feel like the color kind of resolve. So your brightest, your brightest hit is going to be almost white, and then as it kind of rolls off, you're going to feel the color more. So here again, like feel that color. And again, you won't feel much color because, your reference is like, it's still like very whitish, warmish white. So, but here you'll see like it goes, if you look at the values, it kind of goes from this like, warm color and then down to like that, bluer color. So it's the mix, that's kind of like a really important thing. yeah, otherwise I like what you're doing. I think like the background area is working. The uh, Ruby, you're here, right? Can I ask quickly, like, how does this area here end into the sky? Like, is it a table?
Yes.
Okay, so it's just like a table that ends. Cool. Because the one thing I was gonna say is like it almost feels like they're in a desert or something like that. I think what you can do is, well, if it's a table, then then you should leave it as that. I don't want to like mess with your layout too much. I was just gonna say that like it'd be cool to get like some like increasing like value, or not increasing value, but just some like atmosphere. It might make it feel like a little bigger. Um, but the other thing you can do, I think that might help you, is to um, like you're almost looking at miniatures here. So if you think about like shooting like smaller objects, you'd get a little bit more like depth of field in the background. So I would stick like a so I would stick like a Z to focus or something like that. um, and like I can't really do it here, so I'm just gonna mask it. uh, ugh, sorry, let me just kill all these other nodes. Okay, so I would just kind of like ugh. Don't ever let anyone look at your rotos. That's the lesson I've learned doing this. Um, and yes, it is doing the opposite one. So I'll just invert it. Yeah, so if I just get rid of this now. Okay, so you see like there's just something nice about like how, it makes the characters feel like in a smaller world in a way. And I think it's going to help you to like not have to focus on too many details back here, and just like get, what's in the foreground mostly. If you do some like really bright like lights back there, when you defocus them, they'll turn into like bokeh, and you'll have like some nice like circles of confusion. So it's just like ways to play with like what you're doing and really push it, because one of the nice things about this is just like how blurred this background is, and it just gets you in a mood. It's a color, it's a feeling. You have this like flare back here, and you have like some like lens flares, and I think you can do that here like just as well. So if I use that same roto, uh, let's see if I can get it, or if it's not enough information. So I'll use that same roto to sorry, I'm butchering. Maybe I need a different rotor. So I'm just gonna quickly grab this back here. Sorry, I'm using the wrong mode. just like silence while I do this. Okay, here we go. Let's try like a... Yeah, so anyway, as you get them to be brighter, they'll get bigger, and like you'll get some like circles of confusion back there. And it might be a nice way to like hide that background. Like it won't seem like a set so much anymore. Like when you get here, it'll be nice and blurred. You'll have some like bokeh back there. It'll feel really cool. And then the other thing I was going to say is, I think in general, like your scene can use a little bit like, color. So like when you throw some blue on these characters, like imagine that same lighting would come here and hit that. And then I would whatever light's hitting her, I would actually hit like some of these guys in the background with, but make it like think about it being like a lower level of that. And think about it being like a lower level, but one where it hits the flowers really nicely. It's like a slight bloom, something like that. The low level stuff here where it's not getting hit at all, it's actually working well, but I think you can give it a little extra something, by giving it that like, by giving it some extra light. All right, Ashley, see you guys. Yeah, so I think it's looking good. You're on the right path. Just like keep going. Think about think about some of that stuff that I showed you with the background. I think it could help you, like make that background really pop. Cool. Moving on. Justin.
Okay, thank you.
Justin, yeah, I think this is really working. I feel like I'm seeing your like photographic chops here. Like, honestly, I think everything's looking nice. The one thing I would say is the character's eyes need some work. I would, for one, I would probably make sure both eyes are kind of reading similarly. Right now you have like one eye in like the key and one eye in fill. For like this shot, I feel like you could probably brighten maybe this eye a little bit, and then on the dings I would probably put some like circular highlights like here. I know like right now you're kind of reading the reflection of what's out there, and like that's like nice. You can do that for some shows. You can do it for some like movies or whatever, some projects here and there. It really depends like what you're doing, but I think one of the reasons why animation has kind of adopted like a single or maybe two or at most three dings is because it's the firstly is like it doesn't get confusing, meaning like you're not wondering like what's happening in the eye. Two, there's generally a lot of motion. It's not like a still where you can really craft what's happening in there, because like the character is moving or they're going through sets. So keeping like an easy read that's like easy on the eyes and the brain, where you're not like thinking about it, will help you just get like that immediate like read on the character, like where are they looking, where's the key coming from, like, and this is not something that you're thinking about like directly. It's just something that like that you subconsciously feel, so I would do something like that, and if you feel like going really like nice and fancy with it, I've done stuff before where I put like windows or something like that. It could be square. You can make it really nice but still keep it like simple, like you don't want any like odd shapes like this, or like that where like there's pinching going on or something, like, or like your image is getting like stretched or weirdly across the eye. Yeah, other than that, I think like if this character had real hair, you'd probably get like some kind of like hair light or some kind of like accent light, and I see that you have something here. Um, it's kind of hard when the hair is modeled like this, but so I mean it's just something to keep in mind. Uh, yeah, let me and then I saw like your previous version. Yeah, I think even this version's kind of cool. What's nice about it is that it's so colorful, whereas this version here is like a little bit less so. Like this one to me looks like a slice of life. Where like everything looks kind of it looks very normal. Like if you were doing like I don't mean normal in a bad way, but it looks realistic. It looks like like it's an actual scene. This one to me looks a little bit more magical, and I think it's because you're getting this like warm purple, warm blue kind of lighting here. So I think there's like merits to both, but I like where you went, and I think it's looking really nice. Um, Two notes that I might get, some other notes other than the eyes that I might give, or like maybe the hair is like. Um, One is I feel like this thing back here is a little distracting. Um, I'm not sure like why, but it's just like the way the shadows are coming across it and the way that the like light values are hitting. You have this like really bright edge here, and I would just like darken it a little bit. You know, and it's like super nitpicky because like the frame itself looks really nice. I would also maybe darken this corner back here. Like if you just look at this corner from basically this wall piece from here to here, it's the same value all the way across. And I feel like there's something to just darkening that, side. So if I quickly just made like a soft row here, and I, just kind of darken that side, but like you can darken it, you can like maybe darken it with color, and again that's too much. Like it just might keep you from like looking at that like really flat like wall there. But yeah, no, I like the softness of it. I like how everything's kind of laid down. I do think that like if you're going for this like ultra soft look, I might still add a little bit of like haze or like some interior, like something in here, just like super soft. Um, and I think it'll just add a little bit of atmosphere. Um, uh, just so that it just feels like right now everything feels a little too sharp, or sometimes like you want sharpness, like it's nice to have a really clean image, but like on top of that you just want to make sure that it doesn't feel like CG. Like I feel like if you were shooting this you wouldn't get like such cleanness like everywhere. um, so let's see if um, okay, so that's like a 1000 pixel blur on this, and you can just play it down a little bit and then maybe give it like a little color. So like something like that to me. And then like maybe that's too much for your taste. That's totally fine. It's really all about like what you want to show. And some of this is going to be up to you guys. Like I can't really control like what you put out there or not. And it's really everyone's different on what they want, and that kind of makes it's kind of interesting because like that's what makes the industry. It's like you guys shouldn't be following some dogmatic like thing, but I just feel like it's adding a little bit, something extra to your scene. um, and it's like it's obscuring parts of the frame that you might otherwise not really care to look at so closely. Like now it's like this is kind of hazy, and then like if I throw that darkening in, it's like the difference here to me is like suddenly, I'm framing her with like, these like just grades, essentially. And I think that helps, a lot. And sometimes what I do is like, if you look at this, it might be going into the frame too much, right? Like, or like it might be going over your character rather too much. So in Nuke, or anywhere you're putting your frame together, you can just take the character and then grade like that alpha out of this like blur. You can just grade that out, and I think like it'll help you. Uh, it'll help you to see her more. So like if you ever feel like, let me give you an example. Sometimes you render actual fog, right, and the fog looks like this. It's just the way that it's laying over, and you don't want your character to be so like over this. So you can just shave the character out of it, and usually it feels okay. It doesn't feel like you're doing something wrong or like something tricky. So um, but yeah, so and then the other thing that you can do is, depending on like the materials and stuff like that, is you can add a little bit of like softness to the light, like in post, like just a little bit of like added, you know, bloom. And again, it actually it only works in certain situations, but if you were gonna add this like fog, it wouldn't be out of the situation to like add a little like glow or something like that to her. So I think there's like a crappy glow that I can use. Yeah, so that's what I mean. You can increase your tolerance. And then I think like the saturation is usually too high. Just something like that. And what it does is, again, it kind of gets rid of that like that really CG-ness of like the hard edged line and stuff like that. You want to control it as much as possible, so that it doesn't go crazy. Like here, like that's going insane. But it could just like something a little extra, on the character. So, but yeah, that's it. Just like stuff like that. But again, you don't need to add those. That's just kind of like, that's just kind of how I feel the scene might look, a little nicer. It'll feel like warmer and, uh, more interesting. And again, like, unfortunately, you can't really do much with the hair because it's modeled. So that's like something that you could work on if you wanted to get something. But I'm just not sure it'll ever look like, unless you get like a rim hair to get like a hair light or something like that. I'm not sure it'll ever look, uh, like good in a normal way. Like it's kind of like a normal scene. So. But yeah, good work. I think you like came a really long way. I know you've been working on this, and I saw like your earlier version where you set this up first, and yeah, I think it's looking really nice. Yeah, like even this version looked pretty cool. So I think you have good instinct. So yeah, keep going.
Awesome. That's great, Christos. Thank you.
Yeah, no problem. So the last thing was we were gonna Paul, you're still here. Good. So I was gonna quickly. I think it's best if I just like go here, and we just kind of look at this together. Yeah, nice work, Paul. Um, I think it's like a good looking reel. You know, just off the bat, one of the things I was gonna say is, okay, so there was like some things I saw in your reel that I really liked, and I felt like they weren't like early, you know, like this piece is nice, but like to put it first, I think is like almost a bit of a mistake, because you have like like professional level work, like this piece was really nice, um, and you have like all these like pro shots, like professional shots that you did, all looking really really nice. So yeah, and then I think this one here to me is the weakest. So I would replace this one with that work that you did, and um, I kind of get the look. I and I think it's actually kind of funny. I like the shot, but I just don't think it's a show of like your skills as a lighter. Like a lot of the shot work and stuff like that. Just it's not up to your like level. So this is what I think I would get rid of. Even though it's like something you did that you made, potentially made money off of, or like, was a real job. Um, I still think this is probably like the weakest of like all the work in here. Yeah, and like as you do like more work, I think what's going to happen is you're just going to fill your resume with like a ton of, a ton of like projects that you've done and things like that, and it'll just be like it'll be like like a footnote, in your career, but it'll tell like employers that like, hey, I've done a ton of stuff, so yeah, I once saw a resume from a guy it was literally all the companies that he had worked for over the last 10 years, and that was his whole resume. It just listed like projects and companies, just like randomly until it filled the page. So yeah. This stuff looked pretty cool. Yeah, so the other thing, can I ask about this show, Paul? Like, is this show like, is it well known?
It's a show that I won some Ecuadorian fund to produce 6 episodes of a web series. So I created the series and I try to finish because it's so much work. But but the thing is, like, it was a show mixing the two styles, like 3D with 2D.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know if it's really good shots to tell stories about lighting.
Yeah,
That's my thing.
I actually think some of the integration looks really good. Like this underwater shot looks really nice. Like I feel the underwaterness, like it seems like interesting. The only thing I would say is like, you always want to start with your best work, I think putting your best foot forward is like something that's going to get a lot of people to keep watching, because I think this is a really strong reel, but like it took me until like, you know, like 30 seconds to like get to, stuff that I feel like, like some employers would be like, oh, look at this, like professional work, and like, oh, look at, you know what I mean? Like when you look at this first, it seems like, you know, it, like I really like the look, but it seems like, it's more personal work, and I think putting your foot forward with like, some of the like these things where you did like, like some nice compositing and integration and like lighting and stuff like that could be nice. Like this shot looks really professional. Um, but yeah, I mean, you were just asking about like which shot to remove. So just simply,
Yes,
I would say,
I was thinking to remove the robot. What do you think?
this one. Uh,
The robot, the white robots,
oh, the white
the
robots.
white.
Yeah, I actually,
uh,
I mean, I like the way they look. I think they, like if I was like you did lighting and layout and shading and stuff on all this, like, this was actually like pretty like impressive for me, like I could see this on like I feel like this is something I'd see on TV. Um, but yeah, for me, I would say like this would be what I would remove personally.
Yeah, the first one. And the last one, what could be?
I'm sorry, maybe you're a little. Uh, what what are you seeing right now? I'm seeing the Amazing World of Gumball.
Yeah, yes,
Yeah, like
yes.
go ahead.
This this should be the first one
No, no,
because
I think this is what I would remove.
well, okay.
Yeah, only because like I think you might. So I think like the Amazing World of Gumball, like it's an interesting style, but I don't think that as a lighter, like this is saying a lot about your work. Does that make sense?
Okay.
Like I think this is cool. Like if you had it on your website or something like that as like other works that you did, or like a second reel or something like that. Like if you look at my website, I have like, like a lighting reel. I have like a lead lighting reel, which I just break down like what I did as a lead. I have like a section that has like just stills of my work in it. And, sometimes you can add like stuff because I do think it's cool. I just don't think that it's like a good show of you, like your lighting specifically.
Okay.
Um, but yeah, and then you were saying to like get rid of this one, but I feel like this one's actually like, there's something like pleasing about the look, like it's like an actual, like it's a product, like I don't know. This one to me just feels like it's more like the rendering is pretty good. There's some noise here and there, but you're not looking there while you're rendering. So it's like it just looks more like professional to me. And then all this stuff in the middle I think is good. And I think like this one I like. Um, so yeah. And like this, I like this shot too, don't get me wrong, but I sometimes I feel like these shots are like better for like a still section on your website or something like that, like something that shows like, look at the range, but your reel should be like a short thing of like your best work, um, and like something that's gonna like get people to like call you back. But yeah, so if I had to pick one, I'd say this one.
Okay.
But otherwise, really nice work.
Thanks.
Um, Yeah, and then we did have one more student, but it is getting a little late, so I think, and Mollie's not here, is she? So I might just save that one for tomorrow, unless you're all gung ho about going through it. You guys let me know if you want to stick around.
It's up to you.
All right, let's do it. Let's have a look at this. So I'm just gonna save. All right, so the first thing I'll say is things I like is I kind of like this time of day choice. I actually like this background like grade. Sometimes it's like really nice to just have like a simple grade back there. It gives you color. It gives you like a sense of what time of day it is. Anyway, I like this like far background here. So essentially from this area back, like the trees and the mountain look kind of nice. Like they're like in like some kind of like morning fog or haze, and things that Mollie was saying that she knows it needs a lot of work, but she's stuck on how to move forward with this scene. Okay, so the first thing I would say is, you have this like contrasting color here on the blue, on the inside. So I would play that up. I would essentially take all these lights and like cast some light outward, like harsher light outward onto the scene. The foreground itself seems like it has a lot of like atmo to it or haze, like it just seems like overlit. So I would actually have the foreground be a little darker. So that's just like a great, that's just like a gamma, and I would bring it maybe even like this dark, like maybe you're in a valley, and like it's like the sun hasn't actually come and hit yet. So if I grab, I'm just gonna do like a small like comp here for this because I think like there's a lot of potential to like get somewhere quickly. So if I grab like this foreground stuff, and oops. Okay, so if you snag like a gamma and do something like that, you can have it like going further into there. And then sometimes like, now that you did that with the gamma, you can actually kind of like, bring some of that color back, and you might want to and then to sort of support that this is happening, you'll have to, like, one of the other things you can do is, you might have like atmosphere going into the far background, but what's nice is like sometimes you can, not sometimes, but like with atmosphere specifically, like a bright sunlight will always kind of like trump any like any light that you might have, any like atmosphere that might be between you. It's just because like sunlight's so bright, that it kind of cuts through. So you can actually like put these really nice like highlights, on in your scene, even though like there's a lot of like distance between you and that section. So you could do something like that, and like if you put if you put that same, so if I actually just created like another, it won't really work, but like you could, overlay off. So you could like add it to like the top of the house here. Oh boy. You know, and then you can add like another one to like back here. Um, I mean, that's probably too much. Something like that. You know, like essentially like what you're doing is adding like light just kind of barely hitting, and some of these are looking a little too you know, like barely coming up, and you can see that like, you know, because you're doing this, like it's just adding this like really nice, you know, hit back here, and you're giving the viewer a sense of what's coming. Like generally in here I'm feeling like it's, you know, too like, you know, the color is just like too similar. Like I just feel like there's either like a really strong dome light that's just hitting everything with the same value or something like that, you know. But that was kind of like the point of this like gamma adjustment here, was to kind of try to get some color back in and lower the values, so that there was like some separation. Potentially, let's see if we can do some extra. Oops. You know, like, and then if the lighting inside the house was really warm and it was kind of lighting everything around it, like you see the light streaming out here, and you saw the light, you know, like these lights could just be, you know, extremely, like the inside could be just really bright and like almost blown out. It could add like a really nice, you know, like a really nice element to it. So I think what you have here is a really nice, like morning, like the sun's just coming up, you know. So here's like what you were working on, and then here's like my take. And you know, again, obviously you know, some of these rows are crap. Don't take them. But you know, just like the light streaming through, you could have it hitting like the tops of these, you know, trees here as well, or at least these trees, you know. And then you can just have like a nice contrasting color coming through the window, and that could be like blooming like through the windows and stuff like that, you know. So I honestly don't think you're too far away from like where you need to be. Some of this is nice, but I think there's probably some light that got out of control and is just being applied. You know, if I look at the base thing, you know, it just seems like something got out of control and it's like affecting everything. So like I don't think like this wall here should be this this light, you know. So something's happening that's like making this. And I say this having seen Andre's one where like the texture was kind of like this dark rock. I don't know if you guys are all doing your own textures or if this is coming through as is, but yeah.
No, this is all textured already.
Yeah. So I feel like that, you know, that like just there's something technically happening. And I think like back here, it's all working, you know, for the most part. It's just whatever it is that's adding this like layer of like, you know, of like milkiness to your scene. it needs to come off in the foreground. So all the way from the very foreground to like this back wall and the house and this mountain or mound, this area, the house and the trees and this, like that should kind of be shaved off a little bit. So return the contrast to the foreground, um, and like less so to this area, and the rock should go back. But honestly, if you just kind of like push some of those colors that you have already, like, you get something really interesting, like, and maybe I'm probably going too far, with it. Like if I have that so the color's not so saturated, and this one, if I like, if I fix these rotos, um, uh, yeah, I feel like you'll be in good shape, and oh man, I can't even show you guys that. Basically, I did a look like this for one of the like scratch shorts that's coming out in April, and it was like really like the morning light was really orange, and it looked kind of like this, like blue. So um, just thinking about it, sometimes like, in the morning you can throw in like, really like reds and like purples into the sky, like don't be afraid to play with colors either. But yeah, um, I know you thought it was like really far off, but I think you have a really nice base. You just have to like push some things here and there, and I think you'll kind of get there quicker than you think. So yeah, keep going. Don't leave it. Um, so that's it for that one. So that's actually it for today, guys. Any questions? No?
Thank you.
Okay, cool. Yeah, Justin, I liked your work. I think it looks really nice. It's like a nice scene you can work on, and yeah, good work with it.
Mm.
Did you
Thank you so
did
much.
you like rework it twice? You like changed everything, or did you just change
Yeah.
the background?
No, I just relit it twice. I just kept on trying to push it further to change it all, basically.
Yeah, I mean,
Because like
it's a great exercise. So
yeah, I mean, I learned a lot. I mean, so that now then I was like in the same boat. I was like, wait, which one do I like more now? It's like two different styles now, and I think I like, in kind of parts to both, and I might kind of rework that one again too, just to work on some of that still.
yeah, like if you go back, one of the things I would say is like, like give this window some like detail, like is there like a tree outside? Like is there a middle frame to this window? Like, you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah,
because when you do that, you can actually play with like shadow softness, like like tree leaves or like something really far away that's shadowing will be like softer. So you can play with like that and like merging like cookies together and getting like a different look. Um, so yeah, it could be like cool, but yeah, everything looks nice. So yeah, good job, man. And then
thank you.
uh, Ruby, I feel like this scene's gonna look really nice when you're done with it. So yeah, keep going.
Thanks. Yeah, I'm hoping it looks magical.
Yeah, if you want magical, I would definitely like increase the individual lights and get like big bokeh, and just like the blur back here. Um, you can do something like that. So
Okay. Quick question now that you're on it again. It was kind of fast. So you said that the rim on him it's fine or it's
yeah,
not?
no, no, it looks good. I think it's like a nice element, but the color seems very different from what's hitting her. So just like
Mhm.
keep them both in the same world, unless there's a reason
Got
for
it.
them to not be. Like I feel like the reason why you shaped it, you made this scene this way is so that like he was in kind of like a different light setup, in the sense that he was going to be mostly shadowed. um,
Mhm.
But yeah, the rim works for me, but I just feel like it's a different light, you know.
Got it.
So
Okay. Thank you.
yeah. Well, good job, everyone.